Yesterday I went live with Mel the podcaster on TikTok, and we were discussing my podcast interview with her. And so these are going to be some of the highlights from that. I tried to download the whole thing from TikTok, but for some reason it was really glitchy. But this is some of the stuff I managed to salvage. So please sit back, enjoy, and thank you so much for being here.
I love that we recorded. It's been almost 2 weeks already?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's doing, you actually got a comment on Spotify and someone's like,
wow.
you go, Misty, kind of thing. So I love that because I know that people are listening and you're making such an impact with what you're dealing with it and you're putting it out there and you're realizing that there are a lot of people who are experiencing this too. So,
yes.
yeah.
And, oh my gosh, I like going into it. I was like, I thought I was like strong enough and I was going to be good. I'm like, I think I've healed enough. I'm going to be good.
Yeah.
But for like 2 days after, I was just crying.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like guilty and shame and like all those feelings came up about, about not sharing it.
Right.
What we're taught, and we're taught not to share and keep it in. And so it was just really difficult for me to reconcile that, a lifetime of not doing that.
Yeah.
But I feel a lot better now, and I'm okay now.
Did you feel that you were somehow, what's the word? Not like hurting them by talking about it? And
yes. Yeah.
There's a word I'm looking for, that you were not deceiving them, but
letting them down.
Yeah. And that's, because I've wanted to write stuff that I went through in childhood, and it wasn't just my grandparents, it was a lot of stuff. But I've always thought when they die, I'll write it. Well, they died. And I'm like, there's so many other relatives. There's situations where I think I'm going to hurt them. But, we have to talk about it. This is the only way to get through it is to talk through it too.
After I talked about it, all those feelings came up. I'm like, oh my God, if my mom was still here, she'd be devastated.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, what if I upset my brother or my aunts, my mom's sisters? Yeah. And all these feelings came up.
Right. They know, these grown-ups, they knew what they were doing. And so here we are, dealing with the trauma that has, this childhood trauma that's still, coming out as grown-ups. And part of us wants to, level things off by saying, they didn't know better. And we do that kind of to pacify ourselves, but kind of to pacify the family too, I think.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad because you had to go through it twice because when we talked the first time, you dealt with it all. And then I was like, Misty, this it just didn't sound my echoing on there. And so it was like, I tried every which way because I was like, she cannot go through this again. and I did listen to the first recording. The second one I think came out like so much better because you dealt with a little bit of things, and the second time was like, when you say something and then you go and you hear it and you're like, oh, I should have said this. Mm-hmm. I feel that you added some things, and I was able to add some questions as well. So it really made such an interesting and exciting to listen to episode.
Yeah, when it didn't work out the first time, I was a little disappointed, but at the same time I was like, I needed that practice because I've never done a podcast before. So I actually felt pretty good. I'm like, okay, great, I know what to expect now. Yeah. So
and I'm glad you got your first and second with me, because
exactly.
I would have been hurt if you would have been with someone else. I'm like, she didn't talk about that with me,
No, I love that you were my first podcast because you're just so easy to talk to. And like you said, I feel like I've known you forever now.
Yeah.
And I just love that.
Yeah, I love that because I see you every day. And just for you, Misty, I went out into my closet to look for color because I'm always in black, always, right? And I was like, I know Misty's gonna have something colorful on, and you're wearing black.
Well, it's got some design on it.
Yes, it does. I'm usually all in black.
I
And
was
so
trying to
like,
be fancy.
Misty would wear this. I'm like, Misty would wear this. This is my Misty dress.
I love it. So pretty.
So, since recording, and I appreciate all of your motivation to promote the video, which I know you're promoting it because I know that you want your message spread and for women, and I'm saying women because I only talk to and about women, so sorry if there's men in here, but I feel like women that are my audience are listening, and then women who are in your audience are listening too. And we, the platforms we spread it on Instagram and Facebook. I feel that it's reaching an audience that are realizing, hey, what I experienced was not okay. And we need to, like use art, use journaling, talk, research, and just getting it out of your body in some shape or form is so healing. And we need to all know that, because what TikTok has allowed me to do is it has made my world smaller, because I used to think, oh, nobody knows what I'm going through. Nobody understands this. There's somebody out there. Somebody knows, somebody's been through the same thing. And as you speak, people are nodding their heads, and then some will type in, yes, girl. And you go, Misty, because the onion has so many layers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, and then I was thinking, no, and the layers, when she explained it, it was like the layers, we use the layers to protect ourselves, and we're in the middle. And it's like, sometimes we want to share, and but once we have so many layers, it's like, and like I told you, I don't even know where I would start with sharing, at having 50 something years of pressing everything down, because it started at childhood. And but it takes courage, and I don't know. I don't know if I have that courage, and I just live vicariously through all of y'all, and I do feel some of it coming out, and I deal with it, but I don't know. We're here for each other. Yeah.
I would suggest journaling. Like,
Yeah.
if you do like have that inkling to share,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just get your thoughts out in journaling first. That really helped me.
Yeah. And the writing, it really, I don't know, it's like bringing it from here to here. That's a big step, because when you're writing it down, that's that whole personal honesty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
lots of crying. Lots of crying, that's for
lots
sure.
of cries, like tears are on the paper and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do know.
Yeah. And it's not just crying, it's ugly crying. Yeah, you're gonna be ugly crying.
Did you have the ugly crying right after we recorded, or was it like
Oh my God, no, it was actually like, I felt pretty good after, but I think as the day progressed, and then at bedtime, it's dark out, and you feel everything so much more at night. So at bedtime, for 2 nights in a row, I cried myself to sleep.
Oh my gosh, Misty.
Yeah, it was a lot. And but it helped talking to my husband about it. And he's like, you didn't do anything wrong. They hurt you, and they should be the ones who felt the shame, not you. And he's like, you're just trying to help yourself and your family. And he's like, that's okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to hear that from somebody.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And you have to remind yourself you didn't do anything wrong on this. But 2 days, I missed you. I feel so bad.
No. I think it's just part of that healing process,
Yeah.
that I'm still just trying to get better, and I may be doing it my whole life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just part of it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have, okay, other than, how do I say it? Because there's people that don't want to acknowledge, and you do say, the journaling, but like
Mm-hmm.
just feeling it, like something could spark, like a song or a scent, that may spark something. What is your recommendation, for just that feeling of dealing with the past? What do you think? Yes, journaling, but right before, like if you
Mm-hmm.
catch yourself crying all the time and don't know why, because there's women that they're crying with commercials, and it's not hormonal. This is like stuff that's starting to well up. What is your recommendation, instead of crying?
Well, for me, I just started to do research
Hmm.
and try and figure out, why am I feeling like this? What's sparking this? You have to investigate.
Yeah.
You have to go deep and try and figure things out. I had a little bit of therapy, so that helped, and then of course the journaling.
Hmm.
But other things that have really helped me is getting out in nature. Like I've gone and painted in the park, and just that time to myself where everything's quiet, and that seems to help.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I think that's key right there, with being with yourself in a different setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday I went to a class. My friend is opening a yoga studio, so
Oh,
that's gonna
that's
be cool.
awesome.
Yes. And but it's not finished, so she's having yoga outside, and this is the second week, and I'm like, who wants to do yoga outside? And I had that attitude, and then yesterday I went outside, and I'm like, this is nice weather. It's not humid. There's no bugs. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to my little app, and I'm like, okay, I signed up. And so
Awesome.
I showed up, and it was it was so nice. And there was
Mm-hmm.
a moment that the Shavasana, laying down, and I allowed myself to just, be silent. And it was so refreshing. So that
That's
whole thing,
awesome.
yeah, with being alone, but allowing yourself to just empty it all out, because that's hard. Because you lay down, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat for dinner? I have to go to
Yes.
yoga, I have to do this and that. We need to just, and they tell you, breathe in, breathe out. They guide you through all of that. But to allow yourself, that's different. So
Yeah,
yeah.
after my mom passed, I was trying to figure out, I was doing my trauma healing before she passed,
Mhm.
and so I'm still dealing with that, and now I have to deal with the grief of losing her. And I'd come to this realization that I was always waiting to do stuff with people instead
Mhm.
of just doing stuff with myself, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
And so
100%.
I was like, part of my healing here should be trying to do things with myself
Mhm.
and become more independent. And so I was like, what could I do? And I was like, I'll just go paint in the park.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it changed my life tremendously. And I connected with so many people live through TikTok back then too. And I think I wasn't just helping myself, but other people were saying I was helping them too.
Yeah. Yeah. And because if someone sees you out at a park, that sparks either interest or motivation to say, you know what, I can go to the park, or I can go outside and sit on a bench and just, walk my dog, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got motivated with you to start manipulating fabric, and that has been a little bit of therapy for me, because a lot of the fabric that I'm using is my grandmother's. So that
Oh,
helps me a lot too.
that's
And
awesome.
it is, I love that. But to get out of my head, it takes some spark, and you're providing that, like, I can do that. I can do that. It's like, if Misty can do that, I can do that too.
Yeah, and I'm really glad I can do that for people. I really
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you also are dealing with some physical stuff too. And and there's people who are not dealing, and they're like, look at Misty, she's dealing with these other things, and she's out there at the park,
Hmm.
and she's painting. So do you want to talk about what you're dealing with physically?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
I have psoriatic arthritis,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very similar to lupus. It can affect the joints, the muscles, the tendons, all of the organs, including the eyes.
Oh my God.
It's rough,
Mm-hmm.
and it's scary.
Yeah.
And the medication I have to take is just as scary
Mm-hmm.
because it can cause its own complications. But it's like danged if you do, danged if you don't.
Right.
Like it's going to progress whether I take the medicine or not, and maybe the medicine will help slow it down.
Okay.
So that's one of the things I'm dealing with. I have hypothyroidism. I had thyroid cancer in 2011, and so they removed my thyroid, and I'm having to deal with that. And I now have macular degeneration too. And they told me like a few years ago that within 10 years I could lose my sight.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to create as much as I can while I can, and doing everything I can to not lose my sight.
Right. Yeah.
But every day I feel like I'm trying to put out fires, and it sucks. It's hard, and I'm just doing the best that I can.
Yeah. So, and then there's like, do you find like when you're manipulating clay, it has to be a good physical day that you're like, I'm not hurting today. Today's the day to, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the clay that I use is a really stiff clay.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really hard.
Wow. It needs a lot of manipulating.
Yeah, so I have a tool here that helps me roll it, but it hurts my wrist.
Yeah.
So I have to be mindful of that. And then there's a couple of colors that the clay comes in. It comes in like a beige or a gray. And I'm using the gray right now, but I've noticed that the beige helps my eyes better.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to have to go back to the beige. But yeah, there's all these things I have to try and figure out, but I'm going to do it.
Yes, yes. I see you out there doing your thing, and I don't know, you're such an inspiration. I love you, Misty. So
I love you
just
too.
you have a friend over here, and after the holidays, I'm gonna come to see you so we can hang out, and you can.
Are you for real?
I'm for real.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yes, it'll be so much fun. You're not that far.
No, not really. I mean,
not really. And I get cheap flights. So that's why I'm saying I'll go to
that's so
you.
cool.
It's like,
well,
who would I visit in Texas? Misty. So
well, just be aware, I might jump on you. You're like, no.
We'll go to the park. A lot of that I owe to you because you're an artist. I know there's 3 artists that I follow. One paints, and that's all she does. And it's her last name's Zapata, and she lives in Arizona. But all she does is paint. And I love to watch her paint. And she was painting these horses for the Super Bowl. But you, oh my gosh, you're like all over the place. And that's I like that.
It's probably ADHD. I feel like that has something to do with it. But I also just, I realize I've only got the one life, and I want to try everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't want to be limited.
Yeah. I get that because, why not try it? And there's so many people that they think, I tried it once, I'm done. I can't do it. Well, even when like with my son, I remember teaching him how to make the bed, and of course the first few days
Yeah.
and then it looks horrible, but he learned, but then he's like, and then he's like, Mom, why should I make my bed? You don't even make yours. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just throw it.
Busted.
Yeah. But
So
it's a
busted.
teaching moment.
Yeah, you got to practice what you preach, Mom.
Exactly. It's like I was here and I was teaching him up here. It's like, Mom, no. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
fine. Nobody makes their beds. So, okay.
That's so funny.
So, what are you working on right now?
Well, yesterday I was working on these clay llamas. So this is what they look like as blanks.
Mm-hmm.
And then turn out like that.
You have some content with them, right? You had you had someone on there. It was not a filter, but who did you use as one of your?
Michael Bublé. Yeah. I was like, who's the most Christmassy person?
Yeah.
And I thought Michael Bublé.
Of course, yeah.
So I had Michael Bublé wearing these two llamas.
Yes.
Yeah.
So cute. Yes. So cute.
Yeah, I was like, I had to do that. I just thought it'd be funny.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Are you the type that just celebrates Christmas with every room in your house decorated, or?
When I was younger, and when my kiddo was younger, but now that he's older and, I have my chronic illnesses and stuff, it's not as easy for me to decorate.
Yeah.
So I don't, maybe I have like a little tabletop Christmas tree now, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what happened to me. I used to, like when the kids were here and they would, want to decorate a tree, and it was like, oh, whatever. And I don't know. I have trouble with holidays, but my husband would bring the tree down from the attic and they would do it. And then now they're gone. So it's like, I have one of those spirals that looks like a pizza box when it's put away. It looks, and then you just put up a pole and then it just there. Like 30 seconds to put up.
Easy
and
peasy.
my husband was like, that is trash. I'm like, I don't care.
Nice. That's so funny.
And that's the one I used for my classroom too, because I was like, I don't know. It's like, there was always Christmas over there and then Christmas over here. So it was too much. So I just thought, well, I'll just use that tree over here. It worked over there.
I'm more focused on just the art now. Like I'll do a bunch of Christmas art. Yeah, like after me and my husband started dating, we're like, wow, we couldn't stop giggling when we were around each other. It's like we just knew.
Yeah.
But I wanted to wait a year because I was like, I'm pretty messed up from my old relationship and from my family. And it's like, I just need some time to like kind of get in a better headspace. And I think a year would be good. So we just took a year and dated. And it was the best thing. I really feel like I did, doing that for myself.
Yeah, that is awesome. That, some people, and there's men out there that will not give you that space to have that time to either get to know each other or recover from a past relationship. And when they swoop in and they want like instant, that's a red flag.
Yes, huge red flag.
It's like, now.
Yeah. My husband's great. He's always been really supportive of me and what I want to do. And just always been really encouraging to me. Like I don't know what kind of life I would have had without him, but because of him, I pursued art. And, I do the TikToks and, all of that love and encouragement. If I didn't have that, I don't know where I'd be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you're here and sharing everything with as many people who will listen.
Yeah.
And I love everything about you, Misty. And I want women out there to know that we're all here. We're all here to support, share your story with someone. Hell, get on TikTok and share it, because you're not the first one to share such an experience, and you're not going to be the last, and we're all here to support each other. And that's what I want people to know. And that's why I'm, like when you and I were going to make the pod, this is what I wanted. This is really important. When I approached you, and kind of thought, this would be a good, the whole art thing, and sharing art would be such a nice episode. And you're like, girl, I got an experience I want to talk about. It was like, what? It's like finding a little speck of gold, and then dig around, and then you just find a whole big rock of gold, because
Aw.
that's how I just, it went to that, and to sharing such an experience. And we need to hear that from each other. And I hope your listeners will experience something from it.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Mhm.
I did make a video after the podcast, and I was like, I just wanted people to be aware that I'm not trying to save anybody,
Mm-mm.
and that I'm just trying to save myself and help my family. But if it happens to help somebody, that's amazing too.
Yeah.
Mel is someone I met through TikTok here, and she is just an amazing woman. She's so kind and thoughtful, and I love her style. She has amazing style. She's a beautiful person inside and out. And I just when she approached me with doing the podcast, I was like, yes, automatic, yes. I'm really glad that my story can have a positive impact on people. That's not like my first goal. Obviously, I'm trying to heal myself for myself and my family, and I'm also just trying to feel better. But if it does help people, that's awesome, and I love that, and I'm really proud of that too. That I can do that, because I'm taking something awful, ugly, and painful, and I'm trying to create something better from it. And that's kind of like, that's what I do with my art. That's what I've always done with my art. I've tried to take these feelings, these thoughts that maybe I couldn't say or exactly feel, and I put them down into something that I'm making. So it's that negative going into a positive. I'll make sure I didn't miss any comments. Okay. Are y'all still there? Okay, it kind of flickered out. It is a very positive outlet. I didn't want to continue the cycle of, the generational trauma, the things that my mom was taught, whether consciously or unconsciously growing up, and her passing on to me. I didn't want to continue that. And I had to put in the mental work of seeing how these things affected me and my behavior and how I reacted to things, whether I meant to or not. And I've had to, like I said, I've had to process that. Why did I do that? And, is that genuine to me? Do I want to keep that behavior? And, just like I said, I had to think of what I was doing and how I needed to change. Exercise is a great outlet. I'll jump on the trampoline. I have a little personal rebounder, and I'll jump on the trampoline, and that helps with anxiety and everything. Thank you, Nicole. I really appreciate that. It was really hard sharing my story, and what's it doesn't even scratch the surface of all of what happened. And I've been writing a memoir. I don't know if I'll ever finish it or if I'll ever get it published, but I'm putting everything down that I could think in there. So it'll be a family history, it'll be my thoughts and feelings, but I really don't think the podcast scratched but just the surface of everything that happened. Like, I didn't talk about my father choking me. I didn't talk about, I think I talked a little bit about the name calling, but, just the gaslighting and all of this stuff that happened. Like, pretty wild, crazy things happened in my life that are almost unbelievable. Like, almost, like, you hear fact is stranger than fiction. It's true. It's true. I went through some pretty wild stuff with my family. But yeah, I'm hoping to do more podcasts with Mel, and maybe I can talk about that more in depth. So we'll see. It kind of bothers me that, and I know it's probably part of the way I was raised and treated and stuff, but I don't hate my mom, and I don't even hate my dad for the stuff that he did to me, but I kind of feel like in that podcast that maybe people would think that I hate my mom, and I really hope that that's not the case, because I realized that she was troubled herself and that she was going through some things, and yeah, she did realize what she did was wrong, and she had some sort of control there and just didn't exercise it. But at the same time, I know she was a hurt person, and so I can forgive her, especially since she apologized. And she was trying to do better. Like, she would go volunteer and what was this place called? A multicultural center. She would go volunteer. She played Santa one year there. She did these things. She went to church and she tried to help people, and she tried to change. And I wish that would have reflected more in the podcast. You didn't get that at all? Oh, that's good. No, I don't hate him. I don't think I ever really hated my parents. Even though they hurt me so much, I feel like they made me learn to hate myself or not see my worth. And I think that's really what happened there. But I had to forgive them for me, not for them. Like, my mom asked for forgiveness, and I'm like, yeah, I forgive you. But it wasn't for her. And I know that she was wanting comfort and to feel better in that moment. And I don't blame her. But I forgave them for me. Because hanging on to any anger is just not healthy, and it's not, I just couldn't do it. I had to let it go. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, before my mother passed, I was healing through this childhood trauma and stuff and figuring things out. And I was getting to this point where it's like, I'm going to have to put in these boundaries, right? I'm going to have to start standing up for myself and saying, hey, this behavior is not okay. And I was getting to that point, and then she passed away. And that was really hard. But before she passed, I did tell her at one point, hey, you doing this hurt. And I didn't say it in a mean or condescending. It was just like this. I'm like, you hurt me with this. And she kind of sat there and she's like trying to think about, what she did. And she's like, I'm sorry. And I was like, okay. And then we just moved on, right? But, I don't know if she was in the right headspace before she passed, because she did say some hurtful things. And so she was also kind of pushing me, kind of keeping me at arm's length. And so that wasn't very helpful either. But yeah, so we weren't extremely close towards the end. She was dying and she was going through that. And yeah, but I'm proud of myself for putting in the boundary. Thank you so much for all the likes, for everyone who hung out today and talked with me and Mel, and just listened to me ramble. I really, really, really appreciate it. I'm going to head off. Let's see what time it is. Yeah, it's about lunchtime. So I'll be back here Tuesday on my next live around the same time, 10:30 Central Time. If y'all would like to hang out with me, I'll let y'all know when the next podcast will be. Please go check out the link in my bio. I have some art you can vote on in a competition. I have art you can purchase, and then you can check out the podcast too if you haven't heard it yet.